Now we're going to be going over some special circumstances. So what are special circumstances? Special circumstances are those situations you hear from students when they can't figure out how to answer a question or questions on their FAFSA, or when they present living or financial situations beyond the typical family. This can include situations where there is a significant change in income or assets for a student's parent, a question about selective service eligibility, a question as to the dependency status of the student, and other scenarios. Financial aid administrators have the authority to make certain adjustments to the information presented on the FAFSA to help account for the unusual circumstances our students and their families encounter. This authority falls under the general title of professional judgment when applied by the financial aid administrators. Although there are many possible areas where a financial aid administrator can exert his or her professional judgment, we want to look at some of the more common scenarios you, as high school counselors, might encounter. Scenario A. Jacob's single mother was laid off from her job in July 2019. His 2020-21 FAFSA reflects income tax information from 2018, when his mother was still working. What options does Jacob have? What can the financial aid office do? Jacob and his mother were required to provide income and tax information from 2018 on the 2020-21 FAFSA. And although he starts college in fall 2020, he cannot update the FAFSA to include future income from 2019. But considering the circumstances at hand, he should be counseled to meet with his college financial aid advisor regarding a review of his income information. Colleges may call their forms and processes different things, but Jacob's circumstances are quite common. As such, almost every college has a review of income or loss of income form in process. Using professional judgment, a college financial aid administrator may make changes to the figures used on the FAFSA based on documented circumstances and use the updated expected family contribution based on 2019 income information for determining aid eligibility for the student. Scenario B. Bianca, an incoming student at her local Cal State, has applied for financial aid. Her parents' income increased significantly in 2018 as her mom started working again. As such, Bianca does not qualify for need-based aid. However, her brother was injured in an auto accident and the family is still paying the medical expenses. And her parents have huge medical bills due to the father's recent treatment for cancer. The student is concerned she may not be able to attend college this coming academic year. How might you counsel Bianca? What can the financial aid office do? In this scenario, Bianca should certainly talk to her college financial aid administrator at her college. Although the family has seen a significant increase in 2018, actual paid expenses for the medical expenses for the brother's accident recovery and father's cancer treatment may be considered in a professional judgment review. The student would be advised to bring in documentation of the paid expenses, along with written explanations of these circumstances. Depending on whether the medical expenses are paid or billed, could be a determining factor in a review. Actual payments obviously affect the available income of the family to provide overall support for the family and the student to attend college. So the financial aid office staff will need to review the overall situation to determine if the expenses can be considered when recalculating Bianca's aid eligibility. Scenario C. Dara lives with her grandparents while her parents live in a different country. Should she list her grandparents' income on the FAFSA? How might you advise Dara? What can the financial aid office do? Unless Dara's grandparents have legally adopted her, the answer to this question in the scenario above is no. Dara is a dependent student for financial aid purposes. Therefore, she must provide parental information. If the parents are working in a foreign country, currency amounts need to be converted to US dollars for calculating income, taxes, and asset values to be reported on the FAFSA. The parents will need to print the signature page, sign, and mail to the FAFSA processor, unless one of the parents is eligible to obtain an FSA ID. But what if there are other circumstances to Dara's situation? For example, what if the student hasn't had contact with the parents for a few years, and there were tensions when last they all lived together as a family? What if the student cannot find or contact the parents? In circumstances like these, the financial aid administrator may be able to override the student's dependency status, assuming appropriate and corroborating documentation can be provided. But even with a review of circumstances like these, the financial aid office would not require income information from the grandparents. However, if the grandparents pay for some of the student's expenses, this cash support is reported as student untaxed income on the student's FAFSA. If the student's grandparents are legal guardians of the student as ordered by a court in the student's state of residence, then the student is considered independent. Scenario D. Myra had a baby in her senior year of high school. She lives with her boyfriend, the father of her baby, and his parents. She is unemployed, but her boyfriend has a job. They are both applying for financial aid. Who can claim the baby as their dependent on the FAFSA? How might you counsel Myra? What type of documentation would the financial aid office request? If Myra is providing more than 50% of her baby's support, she can consider her baby as her dependent when completing her FAFSA. As such, Myra would be an independent student for financial aid purposes. Cash support received from the boyfriend and government means-tested benefit programs can be considered as untaxed income when trying to meet the more than 50% threshold. So long as the support is coming from sources other than Myra's parents, Myra can count it as part of her support of the baby. Myra's boyfriend could, possibly, also consider the baby as his dependent when completing his FAFSA. This will depend on how much support he is providing for the child. The financial aid office would probably need to know more than what's presented above. For example, is a student or boyfriend receiving any government support? Is there any cash aid or in-kind support being received from family or friends? The best counsel would be to have Myra and her boyfriend meet with their college financial aid advisor to make sure their financial aid office has a full understanding of the circumstances surrounding the support for the student's baby. Considering the student aid report for Myra and her boyfriend may appear unusual, after all, both SARs may indicate household sizes of 2 with low or no income. As long as the student provides appropriate documentation and the financial aid office understands the reality of the support and living circumstances, both students would be processed correctly for the financial aid programs for which they are eligible. Scenario E. Jared has been couch surfing for the past year, staying with friends and family members. His single dad has been in and out of jail, but when he's out, he stays with Jared. Mom has been out of the family picture since Jared was 3. And he doesn't know her whereabouts. How might you counsel Jared? What can the financial aid office do? Jared may not meet the unaccompanied homeless youth criteria on the FAFSA where he could obtain documentation from a homeless or runaway shelter. But with his circumstances, he should certainly meet with his college financial aid administrator for assistance. Depending upon a number of factors, the college financial aid administrator could confirm his homeless status. At a minimum, a personal interview or meeting with the financial aid administrator will probably be required, as they need to determine if the student, based on available information, documentation, or statements, meets the intent of the definition for unaccompanied homeless youth. Scenario F. Monica has plans to attend college after graduating high school in 2020, but due to a recent wildfire, her family lost its home and both of her parents are out of work. She is trying to decide what to do for the fall. How might you counsel Monica? What can the financial aid office do? Monica's situation may be more common in certain parts of California, as wildfires have affected thousands of families, including families with college-bound children. So what can we do to counsel Monica? Knowing how her family was affected by the fires, including her parents' employment, the family's living situation, and Monica's college plans, we should advise Monica to speak with someone at the financial aid office at her college. Knowing the information presented on her FAFSA regarding parental income and employment is drastically different now, the financial aid office can review Monica's financial aid eligibility, possibly requesting documentation regarding her current situation, and make adjustments to her FAFSA information. If the college is a private school, this may mean adjusting school-based awards, but this will be under the purview of the financial aid office. In the end, the best advice for Monica is for her to speak with the financial aid office as soon as possible.